Alright, just found another cool project on Facebook Marketplace. This one's a 85 or 86 LT250r. And I know it's an early year because it doesn't have the power valves. So these were produced from 85 to 92. And the later years are more valuable than the early years. But these are still pretty fun. I got this thing for $13.50. Had it up for $1,500, said it was firm on price. I got there, and the son sold it to me, and he said I could have it for $13.50. So I'm like, oh, sweet. So he knocked off $150. I was pretty happy with that. But you can see it's pretty clean. Plastics are nice. No rips in the seat at all. Silencers on there still. I mean, it's not a bad machine for $13.50. Looks like newer hoses on there. We've got the Renthal bars, newer grips and levers. Lights on there. I don't know if the light works. But yeah, everything's there. Original carbs on there. So it's looking pretty decent. It's got the DG Steel Series Nerf bars. I'm sure those are hard to find. And it looks like it might have a ported cylinder. You can see AAEN stamped into it right there. So I'm guessing the cylinder was ported at one point. What kind of pipe is on here? That's not stock. If anyone knows what that pipe is. Oh, here we go. Is it ITZ or something TZ? FTZ? It's hard to read. It's pretty rusty. But different pipe. I'm guessing those shocks are stock. Are they yellow? Yeah. But this thing does run and drive, but it pops out of gear. And I took it for a ride, and it's pretty bad. As soon as you rev it up, it'll pop out of gear, and it's basically like it's in neutral. So today, we're gonna try to fix that problem and get this thing running and driving properly. But it sounded pretty decent from when I heard it start up. So we'll see, we'll go through everything and just kind of check it over. The guy said it's been sitting for a little bit and probably needs a carb clean. So we'll do that as well, but hopefully there's no surprises. And I'm hoping we got a pretty good deal on this thing. Missing a couple bolts here and there, but nothing serious so far, just looking it over. Engine cases look good, no cracks in the engine case. I checked out the whole engine, making sure nothing was cracked. No leaking from what I can see. The frame didn't look like it was repaired at all, so all the welds look good. So from the looks of it, it seems like we have a sound machine, but we'll take a closer look and start digging into things. What do you think of the new quad? You like it? Come here, come here. Sniff it out, sniff it out. What do you think? Did we get a good deal? What do you think, bud? Alright, Vinny's sniffing it. Oh, he's out. Alright, little walk around. It's not bad for $13.50. By far the cheapest one I could find on Facebook Marketplace, so I'm hoping that issue with the shifting isn't going to be a huge deal. If it is, that's okay. We'll tear apart the whole engine and redo the transmission. Not a big deal. I mean, you can see how simple this thing is. Carbs right out in the open. Just a little 250 engine in there, a couple hoses, a couple engine mounts. That's basically it. I mean, not a whole lot to it. So that's one nice thing about the two strokes. Pretty easy to work on. And parts are pretty cheap for this thing too. Pistons like $150. Gasket kit's like $40. Transmissions are readily available, so it's not that big of a deal if something is majorly wrong. I mean, it's got a really nice seat cover on there. Saddleman, made in the USA. Original throttle. Yeah, it looks like the light doesn't work. It's unhooked. We'll have to get that working. It's got a tether switch on there. Oh yeah, DG front bumper as well. What kind of tires are on here? ITP wheels. I think both brakes work too. Front brake works. Yep. Rear brake does work as well. Even has the rear tail light on there. Chain and sprockets look pretty decent. Not too bad. Chain guides on there. Yeah, really not too bad. Alright, you guys probably want to hear this thing fired up. I think it needs repacking because it's pretty loud. But let's see if she fires up, and I'll show you guys what this thing does when you ride it. Let's see. Choke it. Put it on reserve. Alright, it just died when we took the choke off, so I think it probably does need a carb clean and maybe a fuel change. See if she fires back up. Trying to idle. There we go. Idling a little bit. Sounds like it wants to die. Yep, there she goes. But let's get the GoPro and we'll take this thing for a little ride. I'll show you what it's doing. Alright, first we're gonna see if this thing can shift through all the gears normally. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth gear. Manually shifting, it does work, but it does shift out of gear when we ride it. Well, yeah, it pops out of gear pretty good. So every gear besides first gear, you can hear it drop back into neutral. Seems like there's neutral between each gear after first gear. So second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, it pops out of gear and you won't go anywhere. So I was shifting into second and you could hear it just rev out and slip into neutral. So that's kind of annoying. And first gear was ripping pretty good, doing a couple donuts here, and it didn't slip out of first gear, but every other gear it has that problem. And hopefully you guys could hear it on the GoPro. It's pretty prominent and it gets annoying pretty fast. So we'll get this thing back home, take a look at it, see what's going on. But it's weird that it shifts normally, you know, manually, but then once you rev it up high RPMs, it slips out of gear. All right, coming over to the right side of the machine, let's check the oil. Looks like it takes 900 milliliters. All right, we'll see if this is milky, and we'll see what the color is. Pretty clear. Looks like brand new oil to me. We're gonna drain it and see if there's any metal chunks in there, but that is extremely clear. That looks really good. So oil definitely checks out. Let's take a look and see if there's coolant in here. Oh yeah, it's topped off. Perfect. Coolant checks out. Get the seat off, there's a little pull tab in the back. You can see plastic looks all good on the seat there. Seat cover's nice. Alright, there's an air filter in it. But it's one of those K&N filters. That probably lets a lot of dust in. So not the best air filter for this machine. We're probably gonna get a new one, a foam filter. But at least there's one in there, right? The air box looks pretty clean. Does not have a lid on it. All right, let's get the spark plug out, see what the plug looks like. One nice thing about these machines is that they're so simple to work on. Everything's right out in the open. Oh man. That's on there. I don't think I've ever seen a spark plug on that tight. Holy man. Get an NGK B9 EGV plug. We'll have to research and see if that's the correct plug. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Pretty brown. Not look too bad at all. See if that's sparking. That's pretty good. Just for fun, let's put it in the spark plug tester here. So I think this plug is fouled actually. See that? We're not getting a good reading. Yeah, look at that. Right when you get to 3,000 RPM, it cuts out. So I'll show you guys what a good plug should be. That one's at 9,000 RPM. And that's going just fine. So that's what a good plug should look like. Was not doing that. I think we can use a new plug for it. That doesn't hurt. So we'll get a brand new plug, pop that in there. All right, so kicking this thing over, it's pretty easy. So we're gonna check compression and see what we're at. For these machines, you wanna be right around 130. Anything lower than 130, you probably should do a rebuild. Like 120 is getting pretty low. And typically that's when you do like a rebuild or, you know, freshen up with new rings. But this one felt pretty easy to kick over, so I'm guessing it's probably due for a rebuild, but we'll check. Sometimes kicking it over can be deceiving. Okay. Be interesting to see what we get. So we'll do throttle open and just kick away. So we're looking for right in this area. Above 150 would be great, but I don't think it's gonna be that high. Not for 250. Let's just see. Oh, we're pretty good. About 132 for compression, so we're right in the sweet spot there. So anything lower than that is probably when you want to do a rebuild. So we're right on the verge of where it could be rebuilt, but that's not bad. I was expecting lower than that, so I'm happy with that. All right, let's try to figure out this no shift problem here. So we're gonna drain the oil first. There's a drain plug right there. Hope you guys can see that. Oh, it's finally budging. Oh, they're pretty good. See what comes out of here. Looking pretty clear. Alright, so far so good. No big chunks dropping in, that's good. Alright, we'll let that drain for a bit. Come back and inspect the oil. Alright, so looking at the oil, you can see quite a few metallic flakes in there. See all those flakes? They're very small, but you can see them. See all those little shiny metallic flakes. So I think something's rubbing off in there. I'm hoping it's not the transmission, but it definitely could be. Let's drain this coolant and then we'll check out that water pump. It's on there. There we go. Alright. Coolant should pour out of there. Get this radiator cap off. Should pop right off of here. I think there's an O-ring gasket on this one, so we can just reuse it. Yep. O-ring looks good. Impeller's on there. See if it spins when you kick it over. Yep. Looks to be good. Oh, that's good. So to get this cover off, we probably want to take the brake lever off, the kick lever off, and then the clutch cable off. There we go. Let's go. There we go. So the brake lever, I think we can swing up if we disconnect this. Little pin comes out. Looks like at one point it was an Allen, but that's stripped out. Let's see if we can hammer that off. Yeah, that came off. That's good. Been Loctite down. There we go. Next. It's loose. There it comes. Alright. Newer gasket on there. That feels good. Bearing feels good there. Let's see if we can see anything wrong with it. Any gears chewed up. Clutch looks brand new. I think that's a new clutch basket on there. Huh, that looks brand new. No gears are chewed up in here. That all looks good. Alright. So I think what we're gonna do is take the clutch off and see what's going on with that shifter. I'm hoping it's just something with the lever down here. Off. Let's see if there's a new clutch basket on there. I think there is. Alright, that all looks good. Really no wear on there at all. We're going to zip out that bolt. Huh, that's interesting. Looks like they never folded over that lock washer right here. There's the nut. Here's the washer that should be crimped over. You can see it wasn't. Alright, now this whole basket come off. I'll take out the clutch plates so you guys can see them. Alright, here are the clutch plates. Looking pretty good. Inner clutch basket here. There's a washer on the back of that too. Just like that. And yeah, there's a new clutch basket. Hinson Racing. You can see billet proof. LT250. So, brand new clutch basket looks like. That's awesome. Bearing looks good. Alright. Looking down here at the shifting mechanism. Let's just kind of shift into gear and see what that does. Seems smooth, no teeth are broken off. Looks really smooth in there. Spring is on there. Hope it's not the transmission. Alright, so we've got the shift shaft I can pull out. We got the shifter out on the other side here. Might have to take off the brake lever for that. Oh, oh boy. Those are on there. Those are not coming out easy. Impact screwdriver can get them out. Oh boy. They're on there. That one broke free. Whew. Those are on there. man. That one broke. Holy man. That one came free. Alright, that shift shaft can pull through. Make sure that's not bent. Doesn't look like it. Looks good. Alright, now we can get these out. These little stopper plates. Oh, that one is still on there pretty tight. That one's pretty stripped out, it looks like. Hopefully we can get it. Oh yeah, we got her. That was really lucky. Alright. Plate coming out. Here's another one. Usually these are Loctited in. That's why they're so hard to get off. Alright. So now we can grab that whole mechanism out of there. I'm gonna compress those springs in there. That looks pretty good. See, those are spring loaded. Those are both working. No wear on that at all. Huh. It's gotta be the transmission. So on most machines, there's a bolt you can take out right here, and then there's a pin behind there, and this connects into the shift drum. But on this machine, it looks like the shift drum is all one unit. So you can't take out that piece right there. So unfortunately, it looks like we have a transmission problem, or a shift drum or shift fork problem. I thought it would be a simple fix, but nope. Looks like the whole engine's coming out. Yeah, that's not coming out. So, unfortunately, looks like we have to tear down the whole engine. So, at least this one's not too bad to do. We're going to get the pipe off, these lines off, and we'll probably just take out the whole engine with the top end on it and tear it down from there. Right up here. There the pipe comes. That off. Carb dangle. There's two engine brackets right here and one on the other side. We took those off. And there's one down here. You can see a center one. Let's take that off, just 12 millimeter. It's coming. Well, I don't think it might be. off. Now the swing arm bolt. So this one's always scary. Hopefully this one's not stuck. A lot of times these are stuck. Now it's going. Luckily. Drop. Oh yeah, that wasn't so bad. Alright, engine is out. Got it on the bench over here. Let's start tearing apart the top end. Alright, we'll start by taking off some of these parts. So we've got the starter gear. It just pulls out like that. There's a spring behind there and a washer you want to get. So it's just going to go like that. And you can see this little piece right here. Fits behind the tab right there. The bearing and bushing for the clutch coming out. Get this cover up. See, got a little glass window on there. So there are washers as well as the nuts. One more. Washers are going to fall everywhere. See what this head looks like. Any dings? Oh, that looks really nice. No wear whatsoever on there. So before we put that back on, we'll resurface the head. Head gasket looks like it's seen better days. It's a little rough. I don't know how that was still holding, to be honest. Look at how crappy that looks. Wow. Alright, taking a peek in the cylinder. Looks pretty good. Couple 12mm nuts holding this on. These two 10mm. Must be going all the way through. There we go. Now we should be good. There it comes. Oh yeah, cylinder looks really good. No scores on the cylinder at all. No imperfections there. Take a look at the piston here. Rings are free. Piston was in their correct way. Looks like it might be a Weisco piston. So you can get the circlip out. Like that. That pin should be able to push right through. Piston looks pretty new. And on this engine, it's got the 2 spacers on there. Bearing looks good. Alright, looking at the crank here. Looks like we've got a hot rods crank in here. So that was rebuilt at one point. No up and down play. Little side to side. So crank checks out, that looks good. Let's start taking off these gears. Getting off of here. Where'd that go? A little circlip. Looks like there's a washer on one side, not on both. 19mm. There's a nut there. Looks like there's a washer. And there's a woodruff key behind there. You can see. So this should come out of here. And the woodruff key should come out too. Looks like that can go on either way. Get that woodruff key out. There we go. That's what that looks like. So this gear is going to have dots lining up with the dot right there. So when you put it back together, make sure those dots line up. Alright, that was a reverse nut on there. Get the spacer out. Crank seals look good. Really good. Everything looks pretty much brand new. So there's one right here. Case bolt. One right here. And one right here. Anything else? Looks like that's all of them. Alright, we can flip this around, work on the stator side. Cover looks good. 18mm. Take this down. Okay. So nut and washer. There we go. Flywheel looks good. So far everything's looking good. Stator appears to be good. Alright, the counterbalance shaft can come out. There's that. Those are on there pretty good. So this should have a marking right here. So there's a line on the stator. You can see it right there. That lines up with that little tick mark on the case. So that's how you time this thing up, or at least ignition timing. Oh, yeah. All right. At least they broke free. I do have the woodruff key here too. Take that out before we forget. So everything's looking good. He must have put the transmission back together wrong, is what I'm thinking. It's gotta be. Because I can't believe they wore down the gears already after rebuilding this thing, because it looks like it was pretty recently rebuilt. Got the pickup coil. Everything looks good there. Let's see. I don't know why those are right there. I think those are holding the case on. See if those go all the way through. Yeah, those go all the way through. Interesting. Ouch. That one free. If you do this engine, you want to pick up one of these. You're not getting those bolts off without it. Those are on there. And there's a lot of these. You can see they're almost stripped out too. Alright, I think that's everything. Pretty sure. So I think we can split the cases here. So you want to pull off the right side from the left side. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see when we start splitting the case. Crank on this. It's coming. It's getting stuck on this side over here. Don't want to pound too hard. Get something off. It's coming. There we go. Wasn't too bad. It's definitely coming. There we go. We'll see here. Moment of truth. Here we go. There's a washer right here. All bearings are perfect. Alright, so far everything's looking pretty good. All bearings check out in this case, half. Nothing wrong with that area. Take the crank out of here. Actually, we can leave that in. It's really smooth. Well, let's take the transmission out of here. First of all, we'll spin this around a couple times. Shift drum is in properly. Oh boy. I'm not seeing anything wrong with it yet. That's not good. Shift fork doesn't look bent. There's a little wear right there. Doesn't look too bad. Well, shift drum looks good. Oh no. That spring was on down here. You can see that spring was attached, wasn't disconnected. A lot of times what can happen is that spring can come undone and then that won't stick in gear. But that looks good. The spring looks brand new. Oh boy. Nothing's worn down at all. Shift fork looks good. See, spring isn't stretched at all. That looks perfect. Oh man, oh man. Man, it looks pretty good to me. Oh, what the heck? Well, we're gonna have to take a closer look at the transmission and make sure they're all pieced together correctly. Alright, so I might be stumped on this one. So all transmission gears are properly set. I looked at the diagram and matched it up. Everything is perfect. I checked 3 different times just to make sure. All gears are perfect, no missing teeth. No rounded off edges, nothing. Everything is perfect. So I went through each and everything. There's no shiny metal anywhere. So nothing was wearing down. I mean, it all looks perfect. So it's definitely not the transmissions. So I've checked over every single gear 3 times. Everything looks perfect. The teeth on the shift shaft look perfect. Not all rounded off. They're still squared off. Those look good. The teeth on the drum look good. You can see those aren't rounded off. They look really good. Nice and sharp yet. I even took off this gear to check and see if there's a pin in there. And the pin is in there, keeping that from moving. So we can take that off and check the pin. So you can see the pin's still in there, not broken. So I don't know what's going on. Everything is perfect. Shift drum has 0 wear. I mean, look at that. Shift forks look perfect, not bent at all. This little guy with the spring looks perfect. No wear. So I am stumped. I don't know what the heck happened. I'm thinking maybe the metal shavings were from the old clutch that the guy had installed. Maybe that one was chewed up and the shavings were from the old clutch basket that was maybe chewed up a little bit. But nothing is wrong with the cases. All the bearings look good. Everything looks perfect. So why would it jump out of gear like that? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Let's check the clutch gear. I didn't check that yet. Make sure there's no teeth broken on there. Wow, everything looks good. No broken teeth anywhere on there. Clutch basket looks good. Inner clutch basket looks good. I don't know. Everything looks good there. Clutch plates look perfect. Almost look brand new. All the gears here look good. Nothing's worn down or broken. Piston look good. Yeah, I am completely stumped. I cannot believe everything looks good. I thought for sure there'd be teeth missing from the gears and the transmission, but not a single tooth is missing. Not a single gear is out of place. So, I'm not sure what the heck happened. Clutch basket looks perfect, so it can't be the clutch. I mean, everything is good to go. I really don't get it. I mean, every gear is perfect. So, if you guys have any ideas on why it would do that, let me know in the comments, but this one remains a mystery. Well, after countless hours of research trying to diagnose this thing, I think I finally figured it out. I was looking at diagrams online. I went over every single bolt, every single nut, every single washer on this whole machine, making sure I had everything placed correctly. I looked over the transmission about 1,000,000 times. Everything was perfect with the transmission. I looked over the clutch. Everything was perfect with the clutch. So I was like, what the heck could it be? So like I said before, I went over every single diagram, and I think I finally found the issue. So I was like remembering in the back of my mind when I tore this thing apart that the shift drum was just kind of free floating here. See how it goes into the bearing right here? There's actually a bolt that's supposed to bolt on the other side of it. You can see there's threads in here. There's supposed to be a bolt and a washer holding it tight to this bearing. And there's actually a little access port on the back, I'll show you, that you take a bolt and washer and bolt it down. And it was missing it. You can see this was right there. That cap comes off and you're supposed to put a bolt and washer right there, thread that in, and that will hold that shift drum tight to that bearing. So what was happening was the shift drum, I believe, was just kind of free floating there, and it was able to move back and forth like that, which allowed it to have play to move back a little bit and slip those gears far enough forward so that they would slip out of gear. So what I think happened was the guy just forgot to put the bolt and washer back in when he rebuilt it. Because it's got a new crank, got the new clutch, everything was perfect besides that. So he just forgot about it. Because I took off that cap and there was nothing behind there. I actually found it because I was looking at the shift drum diagram, going through every single part. thinking maybe I missed something, and sure enough, that bolt and that washer I hadn't seen before. So I went out here and checked, and sure enough, those two were missing. So it's like, holy cow, finally figured out why this thing wouldn't shift. So that was the whole problem. And the kicker is, we could have just taken this cap off and put a bolt and washer onto that, pulled that back in, and it would have fixed their problem. So we tore down this whole engine for nothing, basically, and did all that work, got the engine out of the frame, everything, when we could have just bolted in a bolt and a washer right in that access port. So, I mean, it was good we checked everything over. Now we know that the whole machine's perfect, but, you know, that kind of sucks. So, unfortunately, that was the problem, but luckily, we found the problem and now can fix it correctly. So next video, we're going to be ordering up a new piston for it, new gaskets, new bearings. We'll put this thing back together, and hopefully it shifts and runs properly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the diagnosing of the no-shift LT250R. If you guys are having similar problems, check that bolt and washer first before you tear on your engine. Because that was kind of a pain. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. And until next time, we are out.